What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind Method Podcast. We are here today with our good friend, Doron Levy. Doron, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time. If you don't know who this man is, you need to check out his social media at Doron Levy, REI. This man is a legend in the space. He is also a Sub2 member, an Owners Club member, and I am proud to say I am a buddy of his in the Owners Club. It is a great community, one of the best I've ever been a part of all the real estate groups. And we had the chance to meet in person multiple times. So, Doron, thank you so much. And we want to just start by giving the audience an idea of who you are, where you come from, what your background is, and then maybe just start touching on your early journey, the early years of how you got into real estate investing in business.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I feel just as fortunate to know you guys as you just expressed that you are to know me for sure. Um, I I don't know where to start. I mean, I'm just gonna pick a point and go. I was born in Israel, and I came here to this country about 25 years ago by myself, no family, no friends. It was kind of a decision I took upon myself to do. And as you can imagine, it wasn't always easy, and actually started really, really hard, and then it got harder, right? But I was born in Israel about 40, close to 47 years ago. And when I was close to 3 years old, I went to Africa. I was raised in a British school. So if you can imagine a little toddler with shiny shoes and a blazer and a tie, and
Love it.
that was me. And I remember it so vividly. I remember my teacher. She was called Mrs. Bentley, right?
Wow.
Like that's how vivid I remember my childhood. It was a very unique experience. At that age, your foundation is being taken away from you, and you're going into a completely different culture. Um, and so at that point, I pretty much had to do what I had to do, and didn't speak any English, right? Like, it's not my native language. And at some point around maybe 6 years old, 7 years old, um, my twin brother got severely injured, and he wasn't healing right. Like, just he had a fall and his wound didn't close, and turns out that he was diagnosed with a terminal cancer.
Oh, no.
And the medicine, like, the hospitals there are not just as good as in Israel, and the doctors just said, listen, just pack your stuff and go. We would do that if we would be, they told our parents they would do the same thing if it would be their kid, right? So flew to Israel. Fast forward about 12 years of fighting it, eventually against all odds, he survived. Obviously, it wasn't easy 12 years for, first of all, him. But, when a child is sick, it affects the entire family, as you probably can, understand. And so I had a very different childhood than most people. Dad always working, mom's always in the hospital with him. So I kind of had to kind of figure things out on my own from a very early age, and I can definitely contribute that to some of my success. Was never given anything, was never, nursed too much, even educated too much, like by parents, right? Because there's a school system that educates you, but there's also an education that comes from, right, the parents. And I had a difficult childhood, to say the least. And then at 14, I was basically by my own, by myself. And fast forward, I found myself going into a military academy for many, many, many reasons that I'm not going to mention here. I felt that's the right move and the right play for me. And 3 years there, then graduated, went to the Air Force, got discharged as a lieutenant in the Air Force, in the Israeli Defense Force.
Oh.
And then I came here.
Amazing. That must have been that. I mean, I have so much to
I
say.
know.
Well, go
That
ahead. We're
everything
here
that
to
you
talk.
went through. I mean, as a child,
Mhm.
I mean, I can relate on a lot of different levels. Nothing to the extreme that you went through, but things that you deal with as a child in your formative years and your young early teens that really shape your character when you have no other option but you are forced to figure it out at that stage, and that shapes you for the rest of your life. And I tell Tamara all the time, I think that's where I found my drive to succeed, is that when I was younger I just didn't have an option. I had to go figure it out on my own, and I see that exact same drive in you. And I wonder if you said I attribute my success, some of my success, to that. I think a lot of it is attributed to that, because you had to really at an early age get things figured out and learn that you could rely on yourself, which is a lot for a child, right? And often the hardest things that we go through are the things that are for our benefit. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I agree with that. I forgot the Navy SEAL guy, Jacko or something like that.
Yep.
Right?
John
You know
Jocko
him.
Willett.
So he used to say, "Good." You saw that?
Yes. Yes.
So nobody's coming to save you. Good. It's an opportunity for you to get creative,
Yes.
right? It's an opportunity for you to figure out how you can survive. Good. So I
Mhm.
mean, you're a pretty powerful mindset, guy, and you know that to be true. But as means to try to drive value to your audience, where there's adversity, and when there's challenges, that's really where growth happens. And I was literally on a phone call with Pace yesterday, telling him a mammoth of a thing we're going to tackle, and he just didn't quite. It's not that he didn't get it. He was just quiet, and I'm like filling the space. I'm like, because that's my DNA.
Mhm.
I'm challenging myself all the time, right? Like, he's at a point in his life where he doesn't need to work.
Mhm.
He said it, but he's still going, and he's still
Mm-hmm.
challenging himself, and he's
Mm-hmm.
still, and that's one thing we have in common, right? That I'm the kind of guy that does the things that nobody thinks are possible.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I don't do it for other people. I do it for myself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I didn't went too deep.
No, I.
Yeah, we like deep. I'm actually going to ask
Okay.
I'm going to ask a different question. I'm curious because I'm very much an inner child, someone who feels that sometimes when we go through trauma, and, I use the term trauma quite loosely, um, that sometimes things get stuck inside of us, limiting beliefs from things that we actually didn't receive as children. So I'm wondering, as an adult who is extremely accomplished, would you say you have limiting beliefs? Or is there a part of you that, that you feel holds you back because of your childhood?
Is she always asking such amazing questions, or is just
Yep.
it's just this podcast draws it out of her? Like, this is like a mind blowing question that can give so much value to people listening. That I'm just shook to my core. Thank you so much for that question. We're not the same people we were as children, right? Like, a lot of people are carrying the bag of their childhood on their shoulders, right? And so, um, I believe that I am not the same person I was 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and certainly not, as a child. Did I take stuff from it, good and bad, from my childhood? Absolutely. Absolutely. Limited beliefs, however, are something that anybody has, even the most successful people. And imposter syndrome, right? Like, the biggest of the biggest people that we love and admire have imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about limited beliefs. I hear that being one of them. But the truth of the matter is that we're our biggest project,
Mm.
not
Love
the
that.
projects we take. Like
Yeah.
I just took down a $30 million project.
Hmm.
And some people say that's my biggest project. And I say, no, it's not. I am.
Yeah.
Because I can go ahead and do another $100 million project now. It's not the monetary money that is the value of the project, because it's all coming out from you. So you working your limited beliefs are the most valuable skill set that you can pick up and certainly master. And to be more precise with your answer, everyone has them. I have them. I'm pretty sure you guys also. If not, then we're robots.
Yeah.
Um, it's like courage, right? Like, that courage is not to be scared. It's not being scared. It's being scared and still doing it.
Mhm.
That's courage, right?
Yeah.
So we have those limited beliefs. Okay. So
Yeah. What do you do about it?
We're doing it anyway.
you
Yeah,
did
you
it
go for
anyway. Mel Robbins, you know Mel Robbins, right?
Yeah, yeah, I love Mel.
So I forgot who she interviewed the other day, but I was looking. She's like, "What's the most important words in the slogan, Nike slogan? Just do it." And
Yeah.
he's like, "The do it, right?" She's like, "Nope, the just do it." You have limited beliefs. You don't have limited. You have scarcity. You're scared, to your bones. Just do it, right?
Mhm.
So the limited beliefs are limited beliefs only if you let them limit you.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
never about not having them,
Yeah.
eliminating them. Certain things are engraved in us, through our childhood. It's like our DNA of who we are.
Mhm.
And I don't deny that. I have a fight in me like it's nobody's business because of my childhood. And I'm proud of it, and I don't want to be without it. Right? But I also
Yeah.
have an immense amount of respect. I'm not going to just fight people, because I remember a lot of people that helped me and shaped me to be the guy that if you help me today, I feel that I owe you 4 times more to pay you back. So I'm very loyal and I'm very grateful. And I practice a lot of gratitude to people that were kind to me when I needed help the most. Right. So there's goods and bads, and you just have to pick what you want to adapt and what you're going to say. These things don't benefit me.
I
Yeah.
love that. Can I back up to something you said, Doron? Something you said that was really profound when you said, because I know about the $30 million hotel deal that you did, which was absolutely mind blowing. So, and really kudos to you, because something you said about that, because you can now go to your $100 million deal and has nothing to do with the dollar amount of the project size, because everything that you create in this world comes from within. That is one of the most profound and true things that we know to be true, but many people don't. And so I want to ask you, when in your life, what was the moment in your life when you realized that you had the power to create anything from within?
A power plant. A power plant can make electricity. Does the power plant need power?
Correct. Yes.
It does.
Of course. I used to work at one.
Excuse me. Let's talk about this for a second, right? And funnily enough, I almost forgot the question, but this is an important thing to drive. A power plant needs wood, needs charcoal. You worked in one, I didn't. I'm just asking, right? It needs material,
Sure.
right? Like you need support from Tamar to be the warrior you are. And if you're not in peace at home, then
100.
you cannot. So she's your wood.
She's
She's
my sword.
your your charcoal, right?
Mhm.
But your output is your output, and you cannot do it without her. So a power plant doesn't have power, it generates power.
Mhm.
So you have to separate those two. Like, you need something to generate power, but the power is you. The power comes from inside of you, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now repeat the question for me again, because
Yeah.
totally my fault. I only slept an hour and a half tonight.
No,
Wow.
I love, first of all, I love that you touched on that, because I say this all the time. I'm nothing of a man without my wife. She makes me not 10, not 100, not 1,000, a million times infinitely better in the world with my output because of what I draw from her. I After this question, I would love to hear you talk about the power and the importance of marriage and your spouse and support in your life. We can do that next, but the question was, I love you. Okay. The question
Are you
was,
crying?
yeah. The question was, at what point in your life did you realize that you could create anything from within?
At the point that I understood that, like I said, nobody's coming to save you, and you have to be the one creating things for yourself, or nothing's going to happen for you. There's no support, there's no help, there's no guidance. It's just you with nothing. So you had to generate everything, even if it's like as basic as knowing how to get what you wanted by talking to people, as basic as that sounds. I'm not talking about resources. Like, now we have resources, we have teams, we have this, we have that. I'm talking about like the core, most fundamental thing. When you when you understand that the only thing in your way is you, is where I think the shift happens.
Mm.
For some, I mean, I think that speaks a lot to your character, because as I hear you talking about that, in my mind, I'm seeing little child Doron, and I just want to give him a hug. And I'm thinking, wow, that is such a tough set of circumstances. And you could have gone 800 different ways
Mm.
with the circumstance that you were given.
I
There
did.
could have been, yeah, a
I
million
did.
different decisions there
I did. and
that were
and
made.
as you guys know, because you've been around this planet for a little while. You're not um you know you're not little kids. Life will humble you, right? Like,
Mm.
you can think you know it all as much as you want. Matter of fact, you can call it life, you can call it the universe, because they're both. And and I don't know a one person that is successful without making mistakes, right? Like, I've made
Yeah.
mistakes. Don't think for a second, or don't, I don't want you listeners thinking that I am mistake free. I'm not, right? I made mistakes, and you have to look at them as lessons, and not as obstacles, or failures. At the end of the day, as I know you, but I want to voice it for your audience to understand that, um, if you are just do it, if you are just going to try to come to the realization that you just need to actually put things in gear and take actions,
Mhm.
then that's your answer. Because great is the enemy of good, and good is the enemy of progress.
Mm.
Yeah, we tell people all the time, seek the failures, because you're not going to have big success and big rewards without them. So when you encounter a challenge, you should be cheering for yourself, because you know that it's going to provide you with a lot of tools necessary to become better at whatever it is that you're trying to do. It's going to cause you to be creative. It's going to cause you to pivot. It's going to cause you to problem solve.
It's going to
And
bless you. It's not
it's
going to cause you. It's going to bless you
absolutely.
with knowing how to. Yes.
Doesn't feel like it in the moment.
It doesn't matter how it feels. I mean, we do stuff anyway, regardless of our feelings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Some of us. I think that's a distinction, right?
Yes, we
Some of
should.
us.
And I do. I mean, I work with my wife as well. And that's something I had to teach her very early. Because she raised three of our beautiful children. And she transitioned back into the workforce and started working with me, taking over a portion of the stuff that I do. And she used to give in to feelings. Right now, I don't know if it's anybody harder to have those type of conversations when work's not done than your wife, right? Like, you love her, you don't want to be coming off to her as insensitive and this, that, and the other thing, because you share the problems. Her problems is your problems. Are you in the same household? You share the same things. You share the same love. And I had to teach her that the work needs to be done regardless. Like, the work doesn't care about your feelings. It's not that I don't care about your feelings.
Hmm.
I care about your feelings, but I don't want to say nobody else does. But in a way, the work doesn't care about your feelings.
Mhm.
The thing has to close, right? The stuff has to get done, and they has to get done at a certain level, or there's going to be issues, consequences, money loss, or whatever is in between. So feelings are great and all, and I'm not trying to sound like not nice, but you cannot let feelings mandate your life. And I feel that a lot of people are falling into that trap of today I don't feel like myself, or today I'm not feeling motivated, and the drill, right? But I'm not saying don't become like the toughest SOB out there. No, you're okay to have feelings, just don't let them mandate your life, how your life's going to look like because of your feelings, right? Like, how many days I have? Oh, dude, I can give you like 5 million examples of feelings and emotions that I had, and I still executed, and I still did the thing. Like,
Mhm.
that's just important for you to hear me saying for your audience. I know some of those things already, but I just want to put it out there.
Yeah. We agree with that. It's like the saying, if you're tired, then you do it tired.
Mhm. Let me ask you this then,
Perfect.
Doron.
Yeah.
You know the principle. Like, doesn't matter how you feel, you do it anyway. Like, we share that sentiment. We know that. For anyone listening who goes, I want to be able to do that, how can I tap into that? So, what is it that you tap into when you're tired, you feel low? What is it that you tap into that drives you to take action and continue to move forward?
So it's a two-part answer. The first one is still doing it. The result is still doing it. The second one, the result is not doing it, and that's okay. So you either put it aside, and there's techniques to it, and I'm sure you know some of them. And depending on what exactly is going on, sometimes it's okay for you to take a few hours to yourself. It's okay for you to take a day off to yourself, to have a mental day, a free day, and reset yourself, because then you're going to come much stronger
Mhm.
if the emotions are consuming you, and be able to make a much better decision, execution, whatever it is that you have to do. And that's okay. Like, we're not machines. As a matter of fact, even machines like our computers, they need to get restarted sometimes. You need to get
Mhm.
rebooted, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, you don't need to force yourself. If something is really consuming you, sometimes it's okay to take a step back. And I needed to learn that the hard way,
Mhm.
because I went through the valleys of like the deepest things before I understood a lot of things that I understand now, right? And it all relies in being compassionate to yourself, and 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 forgiving to yourself as much as you are with others. And that's something I needed to learn. I'm a very compassionate person, and I'm the first person that will feel, like I want to help people. And I learned that I need to practice the same compassion towards myself also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I used to beat myself up so hard, dude. Like, it's not just perfectionism, it's more like everything has to be done optimized, like in the most optimized way. There's just money loss here, there's expectations. Like, I wanted to serve opportunities well because I have an inner professional integrity, a compass, you know, that I need to answer to. When the lights are out and I'm in the bed and I hear myself and I look myself in the mirror, right?
Mhm.
So I just used to beat myself up all the time, and I wasn't compassionate to myself. And I think that that's one of the things that really weighs down on that.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that they're doing disservice to themselves. So there's way you can kind of clean your system. We use the computer, and the rebooting thing is like the disk cleanup, different implementation. Like, you clean it, then it runs faster. So there's certain things that if you clean out of your system like that, you're going to
Yeah.
also run much better,
Mhm.
right?
Agreed. Self-image is huge.
Mhm.
Self-image is massive. And, to your point a little while back about the $30 million deal, it wasn't about the deal, it was about you. That really is a really important point, because in order to get the $30 million deal, the question is, who do you need to be? Who is the person that you need to be that you can operate at the level of someone who can acquire the 30 million deal? And that all comes down to you, to all of the things that you bring to the table. So I love that you touched on that.
I have a thumbnail for you for this podcast.
Mhm.
Love it.
The mindset guy that gave the mindset coach a mindset talk. I'm just joking.
I
So
love it.
Oh,
this is why we're having so much fun. We share a lot of things in common.
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. Everything you're saying is the things that we coach people on, right? And
Yeah.
what we see in the majority of people is they have poor self-image. They don't hold themselves accountable. They don't push themselves
Don't believe that
on the
they can
days they don't
accomplish
feel
the
like doing
things.
it, right? There's a lot of things that
Worthy sometimes they don't feel worthy, right?
Yeah.
or they
Also,
don't feel worthy. Or when they don't execute, then they feel guilty. Like you said, they beat themselves up because they didn't
Yeah.
execute, right? There's no forgiveness, there's no humanity, there's no
Compassion.
balance,
Yeah.
compassion, and forgiveness for yourself, right?
Mhm.
Which is also very essential. So, I mean, the way you're speaking is obviously a testament to the amount of work that you've done internally on yourself.
Yeah.
Which is a journey. When we're all on our own journey, and I admire that about you. I wanted to come back to the marriage thing. I want to ask you, how has it been managing? How has it been having a spouse that you work with? How has it been going for these bigger deals, these, climbing these mountains, so to speak, in business and real estate, and still maintaining a healthy, loving marriage? How has that been?
I have a saying, and I hear what you're saying when you hear me saying I have a saying about that. You're going in your head like, of course he does. I heard that. I have a saying: family starts with mom and dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand that your spouse is the backwind behind you. It's the wind under your wing that will let you soar. And it could very easily also be the complete opposite,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like one of the first things I told my wife when I started tackling big things early on in my career, I'm like, listen, I'll fight the biggest battles outside of our home. I don't want any fights or battles inside of my house.
I love that.
Mm.
Like, I'll go to war and I'll rip people's heads off if I need to put food on the table, but I want peace in my house. I don't
Yeah.
want to fight you, right? And the house is the place of sanctuary, space to recharge. It's a place of support. It's a place of love. And even more than that, it's a place that is always being observed by your kids. So if your relationship is not good, that overflows to your kids. And as we discussed earlier in the podcast, childhood is so important. Period of shaping one's character. So it's almost like you're selfish if you don't think about those things as well. I mean, don't think just about yourselves. Think about, your kids, witnessing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, most dysfunctional families nowadays came from kids from broken homes, and kids that were exposed to, you know, mom being spoken to by the dad in a certain way, or the other way around, right? The terms daddy issues and all the things, right? It's a lot of it is also that. And if you really understand the holistic approach to your spouse, of how much she is the seed that grows so many things, because it's almost like, how can one seed grow so, like, different things? It's only one seed. Well, guess what, buddy? That's God's work right there. That's the miracle of creation. Like, one seed literally has so much coming out of it. um you know at the end of the day, and not to go too deep, and I said that to my wife also, at times, kids are going to go to college, they're going to leave,
Yeah.
we're left with each other. And if you don't have a good relationship with your wife, and vice versa, then you got it all wrong. Like, you got it all wrong, and you'll when you'll figure that part out, it's going to be probably too late. Not to say nothing could be changed, but good relationships are built. They're built upon respect. They're built upon fond memories, combined from good, um, you know, actions through the years to each other. So all that is really something that it takes a lot of time to build, if you want it to sustain. Because once you don't, and then you try to switch it, she didn't forget the things and the times, and you didn't forget how she acted or what she said, and there's a lot of things under. It's not always, gonna work out, or you're gonna be able to do it, because I'm going too deep, but um this is your life plan, your spouse. And we both acknowledge it, and I swear to God, 3 hours ago I was in between meetings, and I called my wife, and she answered, and she's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Nothing. I just want to tell you how much I love you, and how much I appreciate you
Yeah,
for
I get that.
always being there for me."
I love that.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
he
you,
does that.
like, that's really all it takes, dude. Just appreciation, you know
Yeah.
and that is so true, because it's like the multiples. Like, every time you do something like that, it's going to come back to you in multiples.
Yeah. It's the appreciation and also the acknowledgement. People just want to hear that they're doing great and that you love
Yes.
them. They just want to know.
Especially husbands.
S-
We love hearing that we're doing great. We do.
I'm sure.
Especially Canadian husbands. Yeah.
Yeah, especially this husband. So will you get your kids involved in your business as they're getting older?
Can I interject? And I'm not coming on his defense, although it might appear like that. He needs to hear it, not because that's who Matt is. He needs to hear it because he's so focused on doing the thing, and
Yeah.
he's so focused on making the things happen also. Not to say that you're not at all, because I know you also But then again, you also need to hear that for the same exact reason.
Yeah.
You need the validation. You need to know you're down the right path. You're doing the right thing. You know, you need the support and the strength.
Yes.
And he needs you to water him with that,
Oh,
so he can grow stronger
100%.
and become, so it's not that he likes compliments, it's that he
No,
really,
it's
you
important.
know,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I agree with you. And that's why I'm saying, the appreciation can be there all day long, but you have to be able to acknowledge it. You have to be able to verbalize it to your partner.
Yeah.
And I was guilty of that many years ago, for being so tunnel visioned on my doing that I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then things started cracking, and I'm like, where are these cracks coming from? Like, I didn't do nothing wrong, but I thought, because I speak respectfully, I bring her flowers, I remember the important things, like, where are those cracks coming from? That's what I was missing. And I learned the importance of that. So
Yeah.
you're so spot on, Tamar. Absolutely agree.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, you can think all day long that I appreciate my spouse, and you can know it in your heart, but they might not know it or see it unless you say it. So, yeah, we agree on that. Communication is huge, you know, and it's sometimes the things that you think are unsaid or don't need to be said that do need to be said. It's the simplicity of just actually taking the thought and just sharing it with your spouse that brings that intimacy, right? That emotional intimacy. So tell us, how old are your kids?
6, 11, and soon to be 15.
Okay. So is the 15-year-old interested in what you're doing?
She wants to be my social media manager.
Love it.
But I already have 2, and I don't. No, she needs to be doing good at school. I need her to be focused in school, because she does a lot of other extracurricular activities, and it keeps her away from having the good grades that she needs to. So I don't feel it's the right fit for her at this stage. She's in high school. She's being looked at by colleges. Like, this is not a time for me to distract her. So that's the
Fair.
answer.
I love that.
That's good. That's what a loving father wants for their kids, right? It's not necessarily follow in my footsteps. It's follow your passion, your
Yeah.
dreams, your purpose, whatever it is
Yeah.
that life is calling you to do.
Oh wow. So 2 things I want to say. One, she started her first job 2 weeks ago. She's making $7 an hour. And yes, it's legal to pay $7 an hour. Apparently, it's below the minimum wage, but apparently with kids a little bit different. But I'm going somewhere with this. And she's 4-hour shifts in a pizzeria. And every time I pick her up, she has food that I have to pay for that varies between $40 and $55. So her job is costing me more
Yeah, just for her to
than
be
what she's
there.
making. But and it's not that like I'm making it. Like, it's not that like I'm recouping some of that money back, right? Like, that's she gets to keep the money because obviously she worked for it. Where am I going with this? That it's our main function as parents to raise kids to be functional adults when they leave our nest. You can get schools to teach them math, physics, history, and everything in between. But our role is to prepare them for life.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Agreed.
So, is she working with me? Will she work with me? That's the answer. The answer I gave you was the answer I gave you. It's only like a small part of that, but getting her used to taking orders from people. Like, now she has a boss, she has a manager, right?
Yeah.
Like, someone needs to tell her what to do, and it's not us, right? And if not, there's going to be ramifications. There's going to be customers that are calling, like the other day, really nasty, putting an order over the phone, and she needs to know not to get smart with them. She needs to stay professional. She needs to learn how to control her emotions, right?
Yeah.
And not calling them out on being whatever they are, to her. So that's life,
Yeah.
right?
Excellent learning.
Yeah.
And as parents yourself, I'm going to tell you what I tell my wife also, because she's very nursing. She's very supporting. You know, like if Mia, and I'm using her name is Mia, is going through a very difficult time, she's just like, okay, let's leave her alone. Let's let her, you know, she's always there. Let me do this for her. Let me help her with this. Let me help her with that. You know the saying, how do you make someone a handicap, right?
Hmm.
I don't.
You give everything to them.
You give him crutches,
Oh, yeah. That makes
right?
sense.
So if you let her deal with it herself and figure out her figuring out a way out versus coming and either finding it out for her or doing it for her, it's going to train her to think on her feet and to get creative and to find solutions, you know. And if not, then she's going to go to the world not knowing how to solve problems, right?
That's the biggest skill. That's the
Yes,
number one skill. Oh my God.
yes, and that's like a conversation. Speaking of Tamar about the kids, and that I want to hopefully get to your listeners, that they need to, in my opinion, you know, um, keep an eye for, because that's really something that a lot of parents are missing nowadays with, you know, social media and everything else that they have that we didn't have. We're so focused dealing with those new things that we didn't have as kids and closing the gaps between how we used to have things and now how they have it, that we don't think about the bigger picture, right? We're just so focused on those things. Yeah.
Very true.
That's really good advice. I would agree with that. The values, the problem solving, kids need to learn life skills. They need to learn to do things, to think.
On their own.
Yes.
You need to think.
They need to use their own minds.
And their imaginations too. These days, like the imagination can get lost too, just with.
Oh yeah, it gets stolen by the screens.
Yeah. So,
Doron, thank you so much. I think we could probably talk for about 4 hours. And
we'll have you for number 2.
Let's do a part 2. We would love to have you on again.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
The sequence.
We never want to like direct or have like a path for these calls and for our listeners. I really like the organic flow, because you just never know where it's going to go. With you, we're like, oh, let's talk about his business and the $30 million hotel, and then, like,
still have so much to talk about.
And we barely scratched even touching that, because we're talking about the real life things that actually matter: parenting, connection, problem solving, children, and those are really truly the things that really matter. So thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your life with us and our viewers, and thank you for being an awesome human.
Thank you for having me, and I hope that I drove value to you and to your audience, because that's really what this is about. It's not about me and the whole, you know, the projects and the things. It's about providing some value to people listening to this, and in hopes to help even a little bit the trajectory of the path they're going for the better, for the best.
You said it best. Absolutely. I can't top that.
Agreed. What
Excellent.
a great way to end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.